sit there and hit the freaking deal, son.
What is it hitting?
The shifter's hitting the thing.
The thing.
The damn switch panel, son.
It ain't hitting it. I'm sitting here looking right at it.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we're following right up with where we left off on the last video, getting the body hung on this car. As you can see, Dad has already got the roof and quarters and the bumper cover thrown up here on it. Working on getting the driver's side door on it right now. Luckily this will go kind of quick compared to like hanging a body from brand new, because all the holes are already drilled, all the bracing is already made for it, so everything's kind of already in place. We're just putting it back on there. So yeah, that's what we're up to at the moment. We'll be hanging the body probably most of this video. The deck filler or around the sheet metal?
The deck filler to the cork panels.
Okay. In case y'all can't tell, this is the same body that we ran all of last year, so yeah, there's quite a few bad spots in the body that we've just straightened out as best we can. This door's just got a big crease down it. Luckily y'all on the camera can't see that too terribly bad, but it's creased and wrinkled and got patches in it and whatnot, but it is what it is. It'll be all right. The yellow will probably make it look a little worse actually, but it'll be okay.
so.
Sit there and hit the freaking deal, son.
What is it hitting?
The shifter's hitting the thing.
The thing.
The damn switch panel, son.
It ain't hitting it. I'm sitting here looking right at it.
push the back to the right a little bit.
All right, so as y'all saw, we got this motor. This is the motor that was in this car, the built motor that has not been updated to what the new build rules are. Just got it put in there. Since we made this car a little bit shorter, the body kind of had to be scrunched in a little bit, because there's a rule on the gap you can have between where your tire is and where the body panels are, how big that gap is. So we had to kind of scrunch the body together a little bit to make that fit the rules again. And so now all of this stuff that is cut out for the airbox and the hood and all that is a little too short compared to what the airbox and the hood are currently. So we got the airbox shortened up, and it's all good now, bolts down, does what it's supposed to do. So now we've got to get the hood trimmed to where the back of the hood sits in this recess like it's supposed to. So that's what we are doing right now. All right, it's been a couple days since we filmed anything, but we briefly got held up by not having any parts. We kind of outran the work we had to do versus the parts we had to do it. But the motor is back in there. All the stuff is put back on it, minus a couple little things. Really, I guess, no, everything's there, minus maybe some stuff for the oil lines, because we used to run a oil cooler on this thing, and we decided to take the oil cooler off this year. So all it lacks is having some water put in it and being run. But like I said, we briefly were held up by parts. I think one of which was a gasket for that oil line, or for the bottom of where the oil filter mounts to the motor needed a gasket that we didn't have. But anyway, all that's done. All the interior stuff is done. Wiring is rerun. Dash is back in there. My new gauges are in there. We got away from they weren't digital gauges, but they were digital, but not digital display. So we went back to mechanical gauges because the digital ones never really worked that well. Other than that, Dad is working on the airbox. He went and bought some heat shield and stuff that's supposed to be better than the last heat shield we put on there. He got scammed on Amazon into buying expensive heat shield, so he's putting it on the airbox.
Wasn't expensive, it was 20 bucks.
Okay, so he got scammed into spending 20 bucks on Amazon for heat shielding that they used on the space shuttle or something. Yeah, other than that, it's about all we've been doing. It's been like a week since I filmed, but we were waiting on several parts, but the last few were that gasket and a couple other little things. So yeah, that's been the past week pretty much. Today we're going to try and run this motor, and we need a drive shaft. So I think I mentioned that earlier. We shortened up the car, so now the drive shafts are all too long. And we've got 3 drive shafts sitting here that would work, and 2 of them, or at least 1 of them, will work in that car. But we were gonna go and have 1 of them shortened to put in this car that we're working on, and the only places around us are like 2 weeks out on shortening a drive shaft, and we can't balance them, so we can't shorten it. And there's an art to that anyways. So that's what we've been doing. That's what we've got to do, is get a drive shaft, and then we'll be ready to set up and go from there. It is January 18th, and the first race is March 1st. So February 22nd. What race is on February 22nd? Cordele. So we really don't have no time. We're not gonna go test. That's pretty much off, because it's either gonna be, it's fixing to be like 1 degrees in Tennessee for like a couple weeks. So, and all over the southeast, I guess. So it doesn't make any sense to go test when it's like insanely cold, because you're not gonna get any data for a race where it's gonna be warmer than that. So we're not gonna get to go test probably. Between that and these cars, we're not gonna be ready to go to the racetrack until like right before race time. We're just gonna show up to a racetrack I've never been to before and race, which is fine. But that is what we're working towards right now. I thought our first race was the Alabama 200, but apparently there's one at Cordele before that. So we're trying to get these ready to go. Once we get the last parts and pieces put on it, we will roll this car. We're gonna stick with this car as our primary car for this year again. We'll roll it over to the setup plate, or setup piece of concrete, and set it up and get ready to go race. By the time we're ready to go, it'll probably be right up at time to go. So yeah, we'll see what else we get into today, but that is your update for the past week. All right, something I am gonna do real quick is put belts in this car. We are putting impact belts in this car. They got dust on them, but that's fiberglass. They're only about 2 weeks old. So we run impact 2-inch belts that are SFI rated. That is a rule for our division. They have to be SFI rated and up to date, which means we replace belts about every 2 years, because that's about as long as the certification lasts. So I run, like I said, I run these 2-inch impact belts. I've run other belts. We've been through a couple different brands, and impact is always what I ended up coming back to and what I like. For the longest time, for the first couple of years that we were running, I was running 3-inch belts, and the big wide belts, they didn't get narrow up around your shoulder or anything for your Hans device. They were just 3 inches all the way down. And I finally went to these 2 inches because that's what a lot of people were going to, and they're more comfortable and easier to get over your Hans device and in between your helmet and all that, and I like them. So we will be putting these back in our car for another year. Another thing that I haven't mentioned up until now is my new BSCI seat insert. I know it's a little hard to see because it's black and it's dark in here, but I went and bit the bullet and got a seat insert. If you've followed the channel for a while, you know that comfort has been something tough for me. It's hard being 6'4", trying to squeeze into one of these cars. It's been hard for me to get comfortable in them. It's been hard to keep my legs from falling asleep during races and stuff. And so eventually I went and talked to the people at BSCI about how bad it hurt to race, pretty much, how bad it hurt my legs and my back and all that. And they were like, you know, we can definitely get you hooked up with something. They sell these kits based off your height and your weight and all. They've got, I think, 3 sizes or 4 sizes, like a small, medium, and a large. And they send you all the stuff you need to pour one of these kits. They send you instructions on how to do it. The instructions are thorough. They've got people you can call if you need help. After you pour it and you're happy with it, you send it back to them and they'll wrap it in this SFI seat wrap stuff. Yeah, flame retardant. This is not, the seat itself is actually SFI rated. Your pour is, but the material is just flame retardant. It's just a covering to keep you from tearing it up, because it is, you know, you can't really see it, but that foam right there, you could, if you didn't have a seat cover on it, eventually you'd kind of wear it out. Your fire suit would, but like I said, I sent it back to them and had it wrapped. Did a really nice job. The cloth on it looks really good. It fits me well. Their instructions are clear, easy to use. And I didn't want to mention it until I'd run it for a race or two. And I guess I've put 2 races on it now, a 125 lap race and a 100 lap race, to make sure that it actually helped, and I thought it was something worth promoting. And it is. It's made me a lot more comfortable in the car. It's made what I can feel in the car a lot better, because I'm not worried about trying to hold myself in the seat anymore. I can just sit down and drive and not worry about sliding around left to right in the seat, or feeling like I'm falling out of it or anything like that. So I've enjoyed it so far. I meant to mention it earlier, you know, sometime last year, I guess, and I just never did. But now that we're going back with the seat and I got to put it back in there, like I said, I wanted to give a shout out to all the people at BSCI for a good product. And if you are struggling with being uncomfortable in your race car or hurting during a race or something like that, I would suggest calling them and seeing what they can do to help you to get more comfortable in your car. So it's helped me out a lot. We've got our impact belts back in there. I got to put the side belts in still, and then I will get in here and fine tune on them, make sure they're where I want them and that everything feels right. Okay, finally got enough water in it after filtering all day. So we're going to start it up and let it run here for a minute. There y'all go. First engine fire of 2025. Sounded good. No major problems that we saw right there. It's idled up a little bit. thing was, I don't have a tach, so I don't know exactly how many RPMs it was turning. All I've got is oil pressure and water temp, but it was idling high. Dad said he backed the idle screw all the way off. It did not idle down any. So you can adjust, you've got the idle screw that'll just idle, and then you can adjust your fuel mixture on these dudes and make it idle down some. So we got to do that, but other than that, it sounded good. It was better than like 2 years ago. I wired the box backwards, and as soon as we went to crank the motor, it blew the box up, and we've had a bunch of silly stuff in the past happen, so at least we were able to get it fired up without any major implications. So with that, I'll probably end the video right here just to get a video out, because it's been a little while at this point, and it's getting hard to see in the shop because these things run a little rich. Yeah, creeping closer. Earlier today we figured out I said just earlier today that we were going to run Cordell in February. We're not going to make that race. I don't know if we're going to make that race up, or if we're just going to skip it, or if we're going to go test instead, or what, but we're not going to be able to make that race. But anyway, we'll have a couple more shop videos between now and then here in the coming weeks, creeping up on us, we'll be at the racetrack again and back into the swing of having some race day vlogs, or at least vlogs at the racetrack. So be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss those. Turn on the notification bell so that you get alerted every time we post a video. And if you enjoyed this one, be sure to like and leave us a comment or something like that, and we will catch y'all in the next one.